You are tuned in to the famous Duenas podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne, aka I am Duenas, and I'm here with my two lovely guests who basically regulars, We got Hope and Ajaya Divine. Say what up to the people.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I forgot to put on my aesthetic. Give me 1 second. But yeah, we're about to talk about how Bablyon is burning or whatever. So,
yes.
Got to put my joint on.
I've been talking about Bablyon burning since about 2012.
Yeah.
Now it's literally happening, and I still didn't expect it to look like this, though.
Yes. You can know what's going on and still not know exactly what it's going to look like.
So. Yeah.
Big facts. So I guess, to timestamp everything, if, people are looking at this, years from now. Last Monday, I believe it was, a black gentleman by the name of George Floyd was asphyxiated to death by a officer. I believe his name was David, Daniel, some cracker shit. I don't know.
Chauvin. I know his last name is Chauvin. That's all I know.
Yeah, Snow Chimp Chauvin. And yeah, so it was on video, as convenient as it was, a broad day with a bunch of people around, a bunch of officers around. And apparently from another angle that it once it came out, they showed three other people, allegedly, holding down as well.
Man.
And yeah, it just was a bad situation. So, once that went viral, the streets exploded. There were riots and everything like that everywhere. Not just in Minneapolis where it happened at, but nationwide. And apparently overseas as well. I saw somebody, some white boy in blackface saying I can't breathe, and I was like, come on, bro. But so what are y'all takes on this? I mean, I think,
you start. It's your show.
Yeah.
You start.
Well, right, we'll hop off what you got.
So, I mean, there's a tweet that I wrote, and I want to say 2017. It was around June 2017. And I was like, it was right after basketball season ended, because that's when it typically ends in June. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right. So now that the NBA's done, nothing but false flags, mass shootings, and police misconduct, the football season starts.
Yeah.
And I've been reusing that tweet 3 years consecutively, and it's still relevant. So, it's just that season. Mm-hmm. As the city girls say, it's that season. The niggas get shot for no reason. Man. So, this is not to me. This is expected. It was a little early because there was no NBA.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna get a jump on it in a leap year. Stay woke. And it's just the stuff that I've seen. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going around about Mr. Floyd, about his character and how the cop and him knew each other. They both worked security for a considerable amount of time. How this seemed to be more of a premeditated thing, which, if we're keeping it honest, all of these are premeditated. They pick and choose.
Facts.
They definitely do their background check on you before they, decide to profile you, if you will. I don't think any of these things are typically random. Mm-hmm. Perhaps maybe that's why there hasn't been that many casualties, because then that would be random. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Just me, I'm a know-it-all that knows nothing. So that's just me, just my little bit of Negro brain trying to figure out what's going on. But
I hesitate to say false flag because I don't like to make emotional people already more emotional. Mm-hmm. But just a lot about this didn't make sense. It did. I didn't even watch the video, the full. I might have watched 10 seconds of it. And it just didn't read normal police brutality. From just the way that he was staring at the camera while he's literally just supposedly kneeling the life out of somebody, and he's just like super calm. Like usually they're at least pretending the role of saying like stop resisting or be still or any of that. He was just literally like staring into the camera, like, and like no one else, none of the other officer wasn't like stay down. Like there was just nothing.
It was just
like,
happening.
yeah, I was like, this, it just felt odd. Like it just felt odd, and I just turned it off anyway. But what comes from it is really more where I like to look at it, is because with me, I say everything is spiritual. Everything is a spiritual war, spiritual attack. So you tell me in the middle of COVID, where it's a supposed respiratory illness, now we have everyone running around talking about I can't breathe, like programming themselves not to be able to breathe, because these become mantras that eventually manifest into life. So we got a respiratory illness. Now we got another choke asphyxiation by cop. And now everyone's running around talking about I can't breathe with face mask on. You literally can't breathe. And I'm just like, and then we're on top of that, they're saying no justice, no peace, which you are now reinforcing that there will not be justice and not be peace, because that's what you're putting out into the universe is no justice, no peace. So that's all you're going to see. And I just keep seeing like spiritual attack, and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's emotional about it. Everybody is down somewhere in their town, even in a little nowhere town or a little suburban town, like protesting and rioting, and it's just everywhere. And it's just like, this can't be real. Like that's how I feel like, and I like, this is not real. Like I really feel like that split in the Matrix. Like this is all pretend over here. Like that's just where my mind went. So that's my take on it.
I definitely feel you on that. I'm gonna hop off of the tweet that you said that you do, Dwayne, where you say every year after basketball season, it's, blah, blah, blah. This stuff literally does happen at the same time every year. It's around summer solstice. It's always just after, they're done getting everyone pumped up for sports and their adrenaline off of sports. And like you said, this time they canceled the NBA, and instead of having that energy for, sports, everyone was inside, telling others not to leave their house, don't go outside, don't do this. You have other people, like Ajaya just said, reinforcing that, if you leave, people could die, blah, 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 instilling that fear. And then certain people who are only ingesting news, that's it. Like I haven't watched an actual news station channel in years. My mom, as religious as she is, she doesn't even watch the news. Like all that's on the news is bad stuff to make you scared, stuff to make you not want to do anything. Like if you watch news every day, you wouldn't live. But that's how some people are. That's literally how some people are. So you have all these people who've been in the house for months, haven't left at all, been ordering their groceries through Amazon or whatever. And then the first time they're out of the house is in mask, like Ajaya said, I can't breathe, enforcing all of these programs. And it's always not shocking, but not shocking at the same time, how quickly these things spread and how people will at the same time know that the media is lying to us and say that the media is lying to us. But then for some reason, when it comes to Black people and these police situations, all of a sudden they're 100% honest. Like it just doesn't make sense. It seems like a huge cognitive dissonance to me. Like how can you say out of one breath that they're lying, the media does this, and then for some reason, only in this one little section of things that you want to be emotional about, they're telling the truth. It doesn't.
Addiction. Addicted to drama. Black people are addicted to drama, and there is so much trauma bonding within the so-called Black community going on right now. Like, and they're addicted. Like, you can't not click. Like, people just share it and click on it. Did you see that? Like literally just trauma bonding, and they can't not click on it, and they watch it over and over again, and pictures of it. And I seen someone that was like, they made a good point. They was like, if this was a white person who had died in any way, shape, or form, this would not still be allowed to circulate social media for respect for their life. But it's just being allowed to just circulate and just normalize the killing of Black people, whether it's false, fake, whatever. But the fact that it is circulating and it's not being flagged, and it's not like one of my matriarch sisters, she said she posted something about Bill Gates writing the Trace Act or whatever, and her stuff got flagged and removed in like 15 minutes, and she was like, oh, but we can just watch George Floyd just get murdered over and over and over again. She was like, it don't even make sense. I was like,
nor do they have the view sensitive content warning over it either.
Nope.
Right. Yeah, it's funny how they pick and choose.
That's crazy.
But I said on an episode that should have aired, but it didn't. You know, Black people and white America, they're in an abusive relationship, and America is basically a battered nigga shelter, more or less. It just, we're all there. Well, not maybe America, maybe just the Black community is just like a battered nigga shelter. We all tell our stories about whatever. Oh, yeah, he beat my ass, or whatever it is, and you know, we find, I guess, solace in that because we're not alone. But at the same time, it's like
you still getting your ass beat.
Exactly. And you
misery loves company.
And the crazy thing is, like, you know, my mind, you know, thinking about back in elementary school when we had bullies and stuff like that, real bullies, not, you know, these newfound bullies. But you know, there would be somebody, and it's just like, dang, like, he beat up so-and-so. He beat up so-and-so. He whipped your ass. He whipped my ass too. That's crazy. And in the back of my mind, I was like, you know, later on, I'm like, yo, why didn't we all just gang up on that one?
And jump that fool.
But it just shows you, like, when you're afraid, and he's like, yo, I'm scared. Yo, I'm scared too. And it just never clicks because I really think that fear and logic can't exist in the same space, at least in my mind.
No, they can't. They can't, because all the people who are afraid always have the same, like you said, regurgitation. Like even something as simple as a tweet that I posted about porn being directly linked to trafficking. Oh, you mean child porn night? No, all of the porn, all porn, nigga. Yes. And people were just trying to argue with me about it. One girl, I didn't even say that she watched porn. She just said, I don't watch porn, and then blocked me afterwards. I was just directing her to the links I posted under the original tweet that show such. Like, I wasn't even trying to be snarky. I wasn't trying to be anything. So it's just people, it's the whole misery loves company complex, the Stockholm syndrome.
Yep.
And no one wants the mirror. No one wants that mirror held up.
Not for real. Not for real.
No, not at all. Porn is trash. Go ahead. What were you saying, Ajaya?
No, I said no one wants that mirror held up. Like, no one wants to actually look themselves in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, that's how I contribute to this or that, or any of that. They just want to, like, everybody has the victim syndrome. Everyone, the victim is cool. Like, it's cool to be the victim right now.
Man. They want to be an innocent victim.
Yes. And then it's like, no, there are no victims here. Like, there's just no, everybody has choices and everybody has opportunities to do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we all make choices, and I'm a big proponent of universal law. Universal law says there are no victims. You get what you put out, period. And I said that on my last podcast. I was like, so, you know, Black community, everybody wants to cry about what's happening and what's happening to Black people and the police doing it. But are we talking about, why are y'all beating y'all fucking kids within an inch of their life? Why are every time they turn around, you whooping your kids? Well, guess what? You're putting that violence out into the universe, and guess what? That violence has to come back to you. So don't cry about the way in which it comes back. Just because it comes back from a white officer, that's still coming back to you because of the energy you put out. So if you want to keep playing victim, then play victim. You know what I mean? But like, you can't be a god and a victim. Like, we can't be woke and say we the creators and we this and we that, and then as soon as something happens, oh no, we the victims and it's not fair, and oh, let's go march and protest. Like, no, you like, either or. You either got to step up to the plate or stay down there getting fucked in the ass. And I guess people are making their decisions.
Yeah, people can't pick and choose their karma. I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So, Hope, you were talking about this porn thing.
Yes.
Do you kind of want to expound upon that for those that may not know?
Yes. So, I mean, simply put, the industry of pornography, because I've had people be like, oh, are you talking about if you record a video with you and your boo? Whatever. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about the industry of pornography is rooted in trafficking of children, trafficking of adults. I know I was young. I know I was in elementary school. I don't remember the exact age, but my mom and I watched this docudrama because it was based on true events, but it wasn't like the real, things that were happening. But it showed all of these young girls, very, very young girls who were it was a 2-part, 4-hour docudrama, and them being trafficked through many, many, many different pipelines to get to a certain place where they end up being forced to do porn or they were being sex slaves, one of the two. And it starts at a young age and they keep them, until they are able to, do the teenage categories or whatever people's odd fetishes are and whatnot. But the industry as a whole is directly linked to trafficking. That's how they get most of their people. People like to say, oh, well, you have adults who consent, blah, blah, blah. Yes, those are the ones to cover up for the entire industry. Folks seem to, I don't know, people tend to separate things a lot and think because they don't associate with a certain part that they can just take out the piece that they like or whatnot. And it doesn't, it's the entire industry. Yes, we gonna get there. We gonna get there. But yes, and I brought that up kind of in relation to some of the things that came out about Floyd or whatever after the fact, because there were some things that came about him being, a porn star and I've said this about porn even before this, but just to kind of connect the dots, and about him being someone who sexually was abusing, children, little girls or whatnot. So all of that kind of connected, and that made me reiterate the facts. But I mean, that's just really what it is. And I had followed up with a tweet and saying, people that don't want to admit it are the people that avidly watch porn. I mean, it's really that's when people feel emotionally connected to something, that's why the defense mechanism is so quick. They're like, oh, no, that ain't right. Well, why is it not right? Even though I posted, you can literally Google human trafficking and porn, child trafficking and porn. There are pages and pages. I just picked the first 5 links that I saw and posted them under my tweet. But there are pages of information if people want to look for themselves, but they don't. As Ajaya said, they don't want that mirror. Not for real. They don't really want to be self-reflective. Not for real. So
they it's crazy because that whole industry, and then we'll get back to how Babylon is on fire or whatever. But I'm just thinking about, and I used to be a pretty avid watcher myself. I left that in 2019 for real. There were times I was like, you know what, I'm done, and then it would just come back. But now I'm like,
yes,
done. Got my retention game up. I've been all right. Sort of. Anyway, that was before the relationship. But anyway, I used to just think about certain things. I've been exposed to that since I want to say maybe 12. I want to say, and this is back in the early 2000s, maybe. I don't know. Time is an illusion anyway. But the point is, this is before pop-up blockers and stuff like that. So as a kid, you just remember hearing stuff about, oh, this person's a Playboy, or I just heard about Playboy. So, and skin magazines, but there was none of that. So I just randomly, looked on the internet as a youth, and I saw some things. And then as the pop-up started to come in, it just brings you down a rabbit hole of filth. The point where I'm seeing girls my age, at the age I was then.
Right.
And I'm like, what, huh? And then after that, animals started showing up. It was just weird. And I'm just like, oh yeah, what's going on? And again, it's just that rabbit hole. And even like later on down the road, you try to X out of it. Cause you in your basement or whatever, and then your parents come in, so you try to X out of it, but then it goes, nope. You know what I'm saying? Like something else. Or it'll be something like twice as nasty as what you're already watching.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a crazy kind of rabbit hole of filth. And, you know, I really strongly recommend, like, if that's what you're into, to really reevaluate why you're into that, why, you know, the effects that it has on you, your subconscious, how you view the opposite sex, how you view the same sex, how you view yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, the whole thing with trafficking and stuff like that, that's crazy. I used to see, like, used to be ones that was never my category for real.
Yeah.
Ebony, whatever. But they would show, like, it would be this girl, she'd be like, yep. She would show her ID, like, yep, today's my birthday, just turned 18. And next thing you know, glob, glob, glob. And I'm just like, all right. So you're telling me, because it's not like, you know, you just took somebody off the street. You know, sometimes they do that.
Boom. Sometimes, but
it's like, you just turned 18 and now you're already on film. Did you have to submit an application? Like, how did that work? How did they find you?
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Were you groomed for this life? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It's a lot. Ajay, look, you want to say something?
Listen, it's just like so much, and like people like to act surprised by like the dark sides of things, but then it's like, y'all, look at the culture that I mean, look, you can find sexual innuendo and just extra sexual things that don't even need to be in there in children's cartoons.
Oh yeah.
Right? You can find it in children's cartoons. 8:00 prime time, you're having soft porn on TV now. You know what I mean? And you're having crazy violence in the children's like TV shows. So then people like to act surprised when the 13 and 14-year-olds are having sex and saying this and doing this, or when they're being violent, when they want guns and when they're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, this stuff don't happen in a vacuum. So like, what is all the shock in like, how are you still pretending to be surprised? Like, that's what I say, you're pretending to be surprised because you don't want to own that this is all connected, and you're not willing to let go of the little stuff that you don't think is that bad. You're not willing to let go of that stuff to keep it from becoming this out of control monster. You want to keep the parts you like it as if you can disconnect it from everything else. That's just like with Babylon. Like, okay, if you're gonna let it go, you gotta let it all go. You can't keep the malls, the movie theaters, the TV, your favorite TV show, the NBA. You can't keep none of it. If you want to let it go, if you want to see it burn, you can't pick and choose what you keep, because it's all a part of the same culture and the same system that leads to where you are. So it's like, people really ain't about that life. Like, they really aren't about building from the ground up. They want to take what's there and they want to pick and choose, and you can't do that. Like, you can't do that.
Or nothing. So yeah, also apparently I had also saw that porn post that Hope was talking about, saying that also the officer was involved in, you know, a little bit of the same kind of activities, but, you know, with a different gender.
Gay porn.
Yeah.
What?
I said. I think that's what I saw.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Yeah, so, you know, apparently he was Ron Nightstick or whatever. But the point is that there were co-workers in more than one job, apparently. Yes. Allegedly. So, you know, the fact that they knew each other, the fact that they had this common link. I've also heard things that the officer's wife actually got charged with forgery before, which is the same thing that he and Mr. Floyd originally got arrested for. So it was just like, it's just a lot of stuff that just, you know, just seems goofy, you know, seems a little artificial, handkerchiefy, if you know
exactly. Like, you can't even take it seriously. Like, that's my
you really
thing.
can't.
Like, you can't even take this stuff seriously. They done said, okay, they work together. They don't work together. All right, well, maybe that's cool. Oh, now they both did porn. Oh, now this, like, it's just like, does this like really?
It is. Yeah.
It's literally a script from power.
Yes.
Yo, what is this? So,
Exactly. Who's writing these scripts? Who are writing these rituals and these scripts? And
Bruh,
what
they
are
having a blast.
they are just like, guess we'll throw this at there. Like throw this, like what
Like
are we?
sometimes it feels like they just want to see how much people will accept, because what always bothers me in times like this is people are like, oh, you thinking too much, you thinking too hard. Like I reposted the stuff on Instagram and I'm on my whole I don't give a shit at all anymore. Like I'm gonna say the truth. It is what it is. If you don't accept it, I mean, don't follow me. Most of y'all I haven't talked to since the beginning of college anyway. So I don't give three nutsacks. Like it really doesn't matter. But dude was like, how could you post this? Somebody died, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you seeing what I'm posting? They completely ignored the first post that mentions the abuse of the young girls and just went straight to, what does it matter that he was a porn star? Did you read anything else that was said here? I mean, porn is relevant, but there's a whole lot more that was said here other than, I'm not bashing him for being a porn star. I didn't want to say that, not even in my comments. Mm-hmm. So it's I just feel like they drop shit in to see what all people will ignore and what they will accept, because everyone's going to attack you and come at you with, oh, you're thinking too hard, you're a piece of, but why are you willing to accept things so easily? Why are you just taking everything at face? Why aren't you thinking? You ain't got to think as hard as some of us. Just think a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a smidgen.
Like, does that make sense? I was like, does that, like, it just nothing makes sense to me. I just like, this is eerie. Like, that's how I feel. Like, everything just feels eerie now. It's just like, what are they gonna say or do next? And just to see people feed the energy. Like, we had people talking about, after the riots in Minneapolis, because we had that Drayshawn Reed who got shot on live, Facebook Live here, and they still hadn't charged anybody, and there hadn't been like any movement in the case. And one of the leading like bloggers, whatever, it was like, and Indianapolis, the same thing should happen in Indianapolis if they don't release this footage and da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, are you really promoting this? Like, are you really promoting this? Because I was like, because are you willing to go out there? Are you going to start a fire? Are you going to start a riot? Or are you just trying to get the youth to do something for you to write about? He was like, well, I was down there with the last protest, documenting everything. I said, no, not documenting. I don't need you documenting anything.
What are you doing?
I need you to start a fire. I need you to do the things that you're encouraging, because otherwise you're just inciting violence for your benefit. Right. And like, these people, I'm like, y'all watch who y'all following, and if they saying all this crazy stuff, stand behind them niggas until they do that shit. Don't let them hype you up to do some stuff that they not gonna do. Stand right behind him until he got his gasoline can and his bricks and stuff, and he set it off. Don't let nobody like, and these are older guys. Like, these are older guys, 40, 45. Like, why are y'all, what? Without no plan either. Like, just out here wilding without no plan and, like, encouraging it because y'all didn't have the fucking balls to do it when y'all was in y'all 20s. So now y'all want to be like, yeah, that's what we should do. Like, go sit down and write something. That's what you do. Just write. Don't speak no more. Like,
don't give no directions.
Man, none. Man. Goodness gracious.
Anyway, so with that, talking about, the people inciting violence and stuff like that, there was a lot of footage of people, particularly of the snowy complexion, taking things a little bit too far, adding the fuel to the fire, figuratively and literally. The target that got burnt down apparently was burnt down by an undercover cop from, I believe it was St. Paul, which is like a neighboring city, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
Yeah. So there was that in Brooklyn, where I was this weekend. And the thing was, I wasn't even trying to. Like, I had already made plans to be in Brooklyn. And then I saw that, like, on the way out there to Brooklyn, I saw, there's going to be a protest over here. And I'm just like, all right, Brooklyn's fairly big borough. I can move around it. And then I went to go get something to eat, and I'm following the GPS, and I was like, oh shit. So the people that I saw with my own 2 eyes, or 3 eyes, if you will, was the reason why the rent was so damn high. There was about 80%.
These allegories.
It was about 80%, Anglo-Saxon. There was a couple of black people, younger black people, probably, if I had to guess, late teens, early 20s, perhaps. And it seemed like the ones that were doing the most were the white ones. I saw,
because they always do the most though. That's not new for them.
That's not new.
They flip cars over because they lose games, set shit on fire. Like this is light work.
They be looking for a reason to come and do the most times too, like for real. And it was a video of this girl who's crying, boohooing, like, she's painting, Black Lives Matter. We didn't ask her to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here like, y'all don't even care who funds these movements. Like, it's been exposed who runs Black Lives Matter years ago. I remember when I was in a group chat with some of these girls, and the phrase just first started, and then someone was like, oh yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement. I was like, it's a movement? I said, hold up, time out, okay? A movement? And I immediately withdrew myself from all of that, because I'm like, for it to become, a certified movement, that means there is money being funneled into it. That means someone is paying whatever. So no, of course y'all are not gonna, be the ones out here saying, hey, paint that on the walls. But y'all still aren't asking why they're doing that, why they're coming from. Because on all the videos of the people, who were actually there, everyone has been saying that there's like a little handful of Black people, and like you said, Dwayne, the ones that are there are really young, like easily, easily manipulated anyway, or like super old ones who are, I don't know, I guess living vicariously through them, whatever you want to call it. Yes. Yes. And then everyone else is like white of all ages, or Latino, whatever, people of color, whatever, whatever, of all ages, really out there destroying things.
Just going crazy. Like they said there's a protest happening in one of like a suburb of Indianapolis, and the guy was like, I mean, it's all pretty much young teenage white kids, so it probably will go pretty well, but don't come up here trying to join, because y'all will not get the same treatment that they're getting right now. And it's just like, but then that was a call too. Like, that's been a big call. If you are a friend of a Black person, you should not be silent. You should be out there,
Yes,
that was
be an ally.
That has been a war cry, calling them all to come out anyway. You know what I mean? And you can't even keep up with the stuff on social media. And then it's like, y'all know they have so many fake accounts that they can literally just push a message with all these fake accounts. And then everybody just starts retweeting it and resharing it and all this stuff. And it's just like, where did this idea actually come from?
Exactly.
Where, like, that's what they're just like planting seeds in people's brains, and they're just like sprouting everywhere. And I'm still like, y'all can burn down everything. I don't give a fuck about a Target. I really don't. Or it's none of that. But at the end of it, what are you going to have to show for it? What are Black people going to have to show for this? A youth center that you actually own and control, where the police can't come? Give me something. A house, a neighborhood house in every neighborhood that's off limits for police. Like, I need something tangible to come from this, or like, y'all just wilding for no reason. And I can't support that. Like, I understand it. I can say I get it, but I can't support it. Like, because I don't support nothing that don't have an end goal in mind. That's just
what's
crazy.
Happening right now is niggas is having church. They're coming they're having an experience, they're getting a high, if you will. And then right after the sermon's over, they get their life to the Lord and all that. They back to, drinking and dealing with hookers. So it's about, okay, what's the end goal here? Like, why? Because I've had people that have gone to protests before, and it's crazy because, like, at least 10 years ago now, damn. But I was like, I'm gonna find my wife at a rally. I can see it now.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna find my children. I'm gonna find my soulmate. I think I still might be in my tweet somewhere.
Oh my God.
But in hindsight, I'm like, yo, that's the goofiest shit ever.
Bruh.
The goofiest shit ever.
That's some romantic ass Black Panther movie. What was that? Oh my gosh, The Butler. I think when The Butler came out and homeboy thought that was his bae, and then he was too radical. She was too radical for him, and then I think I'm talking about the right.
I think
movie.
it is because that was one of his sons, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the Butler sons. Yeah.
Yes, bruh.
No,
goofy as hell.
And then it's like I went to one protest. I went to one little walk in Indy. A little 16-year-old got manhandled by the cops or whatever. And he was a light bright, so I mean, he just looked. It just looked big, bruised, battered. It just looked bad. And they had a little thing around the city county building. Al Sharpton came and was like, I was like,
Lord,
this nigga out of retirement. And this was like 2000. This was right when I got out of college. So this was like 2010. Yeah, 2010 when I got back from overseas. I was like, who brought him to the party? Like, who does he even represent? Like, nobody,
right.
Everybody there was young. Like, nobody even knows Al Sharpton besides like making fun of Al Sharpton. Like, that's all that's what I knew of Al Sharpton. Then we went on our lunch break and we went back to lunch.
Is he still fat?
I don't know. He was still kind of a little plump then. Damn. We went back to lunch. We went back to work, and I was sitting there like, damn, I just wasted my fucking lunch break. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I was like, I just wasted my lunch break because I don't even know what came of that. I was like, so I was just like, no, I need to know what are you protesting to get what? What are your demands? What will make you stop protesting? What is it? Right. And now they're still not that. I'm like, what do y'all want? Like, what do y'all want? Okay, burn the shit down. And then if they say, okay, what y'all want? Stop burning stuff. We're gonna give y'all what y'all want. Y'all gonna look around and say like,
reparations?
Ain't nothing specific either. They just say reparations.
Reparations.
Just reparations.
Like,
or stop killing us.
Yeah, like that's gonna happen. Like that's what I said. How many there have been riots before, and what happened? Like I be telling people like we need Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was a thing, and then what happened? It's not a thing, and nobody got any compensation. So no, we don't need Black Wall Street either. Like, come on, let's keep
folks.
What is something new?
Forward.
They so stuck in these cycles.
It's called a revolution because you're going in a circle. Yeah, you're just gonna keep going in a circle doing the same thing, and I'm like, y'all but y'all letting the people who want to control you give you your agenda. They're giving you your agenda, your solutions, your strategies. Like if you did this in the 60s, do you not think they're prepared for it now? You know what I mean? Like, so if I try to beat you this way, cross you and go this way, and it kind of worked. You're not gonna let me just do that again, are you? Like, no, they're not gonna let you do the same thing to get more results. Like,
exactly.
So, like, it's as bad as a strategy. I'm like, did we not read The Art of War, or did y'all just like pretend like y'all read that book? Like, did that everybody be like
something to quote on Twitter?
Art of War. Yeah, but like, did y'all actually read and comprehend what was said? Yeah, making strategies like.
I really think Black people just as a whole, because as you're talking about like how they're doing the same move, I'm thinking about back when I was a kid and we was playing a fighting game or whatever, and maybe somebody knew a special move. And, when kids know how to do a special move, they just keep doing that.
Keep on doing it.
That's it.
And it's like, yo, you cheesing, but it's like, yo, do something different.
Yeah.
And I think we'll just keep talking about how everyone's cheesing and not like learning the pattern. Oh man, that's just so much goofy stuff this week.
This is goofy. It's all goofy. It's all goofy, and it's all it not even embarrassing. I don't even I got my coat. I'm good.
Yeah, because it's just everyone wants to destroy stuff when we have nothing built up. Like you build first and then you destroy. Like you're gonna build. Okay, so you're gonna destroy the infrastructure and everything like that when you're dependent on it already.
Yeah, you don't have nothing else, and you don't want to build anything either, though.
That's the thing too. There's no plan for building.
You don't want to build anything because there's plenty of opportunity around to actually build. Like there, in every community, there are organizations that have been working, trying to build one way or another something, whether it be food, community gardens. There's not. I would doubt that there is any major or mid-major city where there is not a Black person somewhere that's going to try to start a garden, a store, a school, whatever. But people aren't actually interested in building. They want what's already there. And
they want what's already there. Exactly. I would say they want to take it and put their name on it, but they don't really want anything original. And then something I'm always telling folks too is know your people. Like, yes, we all are, you know, brown-skinned people, but that don't mean we all the same. Notice how white folks love to be like, oh, you know, I'm Slavic, I'm German, I'm this. They don't treat themselves like a monolith. So please explain to me why we do that to ourselves. Figure out where you, and I'm not talking about Ancestry Me and 23andMe and whatever it is, because all they're going to do is sell your DNA. But try to do as much research that you can. At least start somewhere with yourself, because you're out here throwing your neck, bringing your children to these rallies, and you might not even have anything to do with these people at all. It doesn't mean you hate them. Yeah, it doesn't mean you hate them, but get yours together, you know?
Like, that's what actual community and village is. Like, who are your actual people? Like, who, if something went down, who do you actually call? If you didn't have no food, where is your village and your community? It's going to be like, okay, we're going to make sure you eat. We're going to try to find you this. We're going to get you that, because that's what the other communities do. That's what the Indian community, it's not just all the Indian folks looking out for each other. They actually have a organization about how they go about it, where you're actually a part of the organization, and these are our goals. And okay, I done seen one of the guys in the Indian restaurants. I love Indian food. I done seen him get shifted to about 3 different Indian restaurants, and they're all owned. They each own 2. You know what I mean? Like, so like he's bounced back between like 2 or 3 owners just because they're taking care of their community. You know what I mean? He's like, oh yeah, I'm over here now. Oh, like I will pop in one. I'm like, oh, you working here now? And this is because they're a true organization taking care of their community, and they don't vote. They're not worried. They're not out here picketing and stuff. But I go into restaurants and I see a picture of their little organization with the mayor, with the governor, with all this stuff. Where is that? Where that's actually building community and organization. And Black people are just with this abstract, the Black community. The Black community, who? What are the rules? Who are your representatives? How do I talk to y'all? Like, who is this Black community? Like, it's just like it's a ghost. It's like the Holy Spirit.
It's a blanket
girl. Yes.
It's a blanket term. And you know, I too enjoy Indian cuisine. And,
likewise.
You know, I've seen just different things. I used to work with when I was I was in a pyramid scheme job, and it was Indian.
Hey, yo, chill.
And you know, she was talking about like how, you know, she moved from Connecticut or whatever, and she was just living in Long Island. Now, Long Island is not a cheap place to live. One of the most expensive places in America. And I'm sitting there like, how is she doing this? Because ain't nobody here really making no real money. How was she able to do that? And I remember I was looking up apartments because she lived like around where my college was at. And I'm seeing rent for like stuff is like less than $300 a month. And I'm like, nigga, how? And then I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, all of this is in Indian. All this is in Punjabi. I'm like, look at that. Look at that.
Real live community, real live. Because then I lived in Irving? I always get it messed up. Irving, Texas. And like they got like another thing like Valley View, and that's like all Indian. Like I mean, they're Indian drive-through restaurant. That's when I knew it was real. When there was an Indian drive-through restaurant, I was like, oh, they really run stuff around. Like
Oh, wow. That sounds
stuff
wonderful.
around here. Exactly. And I was like, but then they have like different organizations, even though, okay, we all Indian, we all kind of live in this area, but then within that, they still had different organizations and different things that they were working for, that they actually had their community. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, Black people truly don't understand that. Like, hey, if y'all was to actually just pull money and go buy off the cops, we would be better off. You would be better off pulling money and going to purchase politicians like everybody else. But Black people are stuck in this thing of equality and fairness and justice, and it's just going to be, and it's like, that is not the system that we have ever lived in. That is not what the system was designed for. Money plays, and Black people don't want to put their money up to do what everybody else is doing. They just think it's going to come to them. Like, no.
They'd rather put their money up in these like get rich, quick schemes. And, we all know fiat is fake, currency. But if you're going to be in this rooted system, then you need to learn the game and play it. I mean, I always like to bring up the fact that the New World Order isn't something that is coming. The New World Order started when they tore down what already was, installed patriarchy and came up with this paper money. So it is what it is, Yeah, it'll come to crumble, as we'll discuss later. But at the same time, you gotta be aware of that. And folks just wanna, you bring up a money pool and they're just like, nah, how am I supposed to trust you with my money? But we all the same.
Man. And you trust in this whole system with your life.
That's
like
what I'm saying.
You didn't ask no questions when they told you to get a birth certificate. When they told you to get a birth certificate, when they told you you need a social security card, when they told you all this other stuff, you didn't have no questions then. You just, yeah. But as soon as it comes to really getting in and doing the work and all that other stuff, now you got mad questions when it comes. Oh man, what's this? I'm gonna have to get that. Oh, how we go? Like, you just, and I found that like it's so annoying. That's why I don't even talk to like people that much anymore. Like when you start trying to formulate an idea and really build, all they do is try to poke. Other Black people just want to poke holes in it. Oh, that won't work because of this, or that won't work because of this. And they just poking holes. I was like, no, don't poke holes. Find a solution for the problem you see. That's how you build. You don't poke a hole and throw the whole thing away. You find a hole and you're like, hey, this is what I see the problem is. This is how we can solve it to help build. But all niggas want to do is pull down and destroy stuff and come up with reasons why it won't work so they can stay a victim and they can blame somebody else for their condition.
Exactly.
I think
willful ignorance.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I really think that the reason why people like to be victims is because that just, it's back to the mirror thing. Like, they don't want to have any accountability for how they feel their life.
Exactly. No accountability, no mirror, no.
You can't go, and then you won't get nowhere like that. But then you want somebody to listen to you cry over and over again, and like how you can't rise and how you can't do this, but you're not willing to do no work. You're not willing to really put no work in. But then you expect, man, I don't know. I think it's because I think it's the slave. It's an extension of the slave mentality, because you're just expecting these things to be given to you. Yeah, slavery was horrible, and you people had to work and like work all day, all night, and all stuff, never get paid, but you got stuff given to you. But you know what I mean? You got certain things just handed to you because of your work. So you're used to getting things handed to you over and over and over again, and never actually having to build community, and never actually having to build a home. Like if they just gave niggas open space and was like, it's y'all, go ahead.
Folks
people still wouldn't want to be, you know what I mean? Like they'd be like, what? We gotta do what?
Big ass field, let's play some football.
Yeah, listen.
We gotta chop down trees.
Yeah,
we gotta do
people
hammers.
are for real. Like, it's the laziness is just so astounding sometimes. Just on something as simple as reading, you ask them to read. They'll ask for information, and then you'll say, okay, well, here's the information. But I want you to point it out to me, print out exactly the part. No, my love. No, that's not how I found it. I had to read all of these things. I gave you the chop. Like I gave you the little section. You have to at least read that little section and find something there. And what you're talking about with the slave thing, Ajay, people like to have this, I don't know why people have this misconception that slaves were starved. You really think that they were starving the slaves that had to do the work for them? They was fed. They was taken care of. Yes, again, of course, slavery was terrible. There was abuse. Babies were ripped from. But I don't know where this idea that everyone was just withered and worn and on their last leg doing work. You had to do field work. Okay, so they were fed well. They were taken care of. Okay,
they was the ones doing all the cooking and stuff. So how they not gonna feed themselves? You know what I mean? Like,
and if they're doing all that field work, shit. Why do you think we was running sports? You think that same genetics wasn't then? Back then they were bred for that. Yeah. So it's like, which just shows.
Yeah, I mean, they literally bred us.
Yeah, so it just shows you like how, because honestly, like if it was a physical altercation, it would have been a wrap. But it just shows you how, the mind. Once you get the mind, everything else is a wrap.
Everything else is
everything.
Done. Everything, and that's the same thing about all this stuff going on. You could tell that like people's mind are in complete mind control.
Oh yeah.
Because they can't even think logically about anything that's going on right now. It's just, they keep killing us. Blah, 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 I'm tired. I'm like, y'all, they ain't never stopped killing Black people. It ain't never stopped. It's always been like, so what is it about this right now that is putting it over the edge?
Different.
Because they have put it on media and they have pumped it in your face over and over and over and over again. Because why? Because they want you to react now. Mm-hmm. Now it feeds their agenda for you to react, and at least for them to be able to sell it to the public that you're reacting. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all it is. It's like they use it strategically against you, and it's just and it's interesting to see woke people who have all these opinions of stuff that things are going on, but as soon as it becomes something emotional, like a Black death or whatever, they sound just like somebody you would say wasn't woke. You know what I mean? Like, or was asleep. Like, y'all sound just like everybody else. Y'all was just talking about the media, like you said earlier, media this, media that, media this, blah, 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 blah. But now you are playing into the game. You're playing into all of it because it hits you in an emotional pie. It was one of your triggers. Like, they're playing on you. People be talking about triggers all the time.
Yes.
Trauma, but then when the media plays on your trigger and your trauma to get you to
all
react,
of a sudden
you can't even see it. You can't even see it. And it's just like, y'all not as woke and as conscious as y'all like to pretend.
Yes.
Like,
and just before this situation happened, I saw a bunch of people who were saying things about how, the civil rights movement really wasn't that long ago. Like, this, nothing ever really changed. It wasn't. It was in the 60s was what? It's 60, 50
about
years
60
ago.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
It was not that long ago. There are still people alive. So for people to really have this, belief that everything has just suddenly changed or, it's bad. I don't understand that. And one of my homegirls had posted something on Instagram about how, I'm sure you're familiar with the MK Ultra program and how it's not the celebrities, it is the United States citizens who are actually under this mind control program, okay? Because they keep feeding into the media, because they have selective understanding when they want to make sure, okay, at this point, media lie, blah, blah, blah. But then, oh man, whatever that person's trigger is, and that just goes back to holding up the mirror. Why does that bother you so much? Why are you so triggered by that? Why is it triggering you so much to where you're stopping all the thought that people were focused on growing their own food, people over here starting gardens, all of that just abandoned now. All of it.
And I really think that people make the grave mistake of underestimating the evilness and the ingenuity of their enemy.
Yes.
People use
ingenuity. That is the one that gets them. Like,
people use Twitter as a diary. They talk about all this.
Oh God, yes.
They don't think that there aren't people in high places that scour that, looking for how to trigger you. Like, I've seen people get exposed on Twitter because they were messaging themselves, trying to have an argument to get whatever.
Yes.
Have bots that are doing the same thing to build like credibility.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, y'all, listen, if they would literally enslave, beat, torture, rip your child away from you, all this stuff, physically do all of this stuff to you. You don't think they would be like, oh, let the physical go and then turn to psychological control? And it's like, I study psychology and sociology. So I'm like, y'all, if we know this, then it could be used against you. Like groupthink and behavior, like all that stuff can be used to control you. And it's all by design. Like culture is by design. All this stuff is by design. So you don't like, I'm like, y'all, advertisement is not $1 billion industry because it doesn't work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like these things work. These corporations are hiring psychologists to help their market, to help them pick the colors, to help them pick the songs, the jingles, the everything for the target audience they have. Like, this is a science. And like, people just, I mean, I get it because they control education. So they have they have primed people's mind of what education and intelligence is and what that looks like and all this. So like they've literally molded and grown you from the moment you were born, even before you were born. They have been molding your mind on how to think, what truth is. Got your parents to tell you all these crazy ass lies about Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, the rabbit. You don't know real from fake. You couldn't know real from fake. Like they've been confusing you since you was little about what was real and what was fake. So now as an adult, you can't tell either. You couldn't tell if something on TV was fake or if that was a TV show. Like, was that a TV? Like if they would have said that this George Floyd thing was a episode of Power, like y'all said, you've been like, yo, that was a good episode. Just take off the credits and just put it on TV and be like, put news underneath it. It was a true story. Like that's literally it.
I mean, people treat reality TV and all of that like it's real. When it came out, the reality TV was like scripted. You know how many people flipped, and it's like, you know, folks throw the word frequency and all of this around and forget that outside of the spiritual sense, things literally have frequencies. Colors literally have frequencies. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blah, 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 blah. Each of those colors have a different frequency as far as the wavelengths and how they pass through sounds, tone, because I almost was going to study music. I was very, very good at music in school. And I still play. Music literally has a frequency. Like the G note is going to feel different than the F note, and depending on what key you're in, it's going to affect everything. So why people don't understand that these colors, I mean, we know fast food, red and yellow make you hungry. That's why most fast food restaurants have some type of red in them. Even the healthy ones like Chick-fil-A, they're still trying to get your money because they want you to be hungry. So understanding even that most basic level, there are literal frequencies out here affecting you. So why wouldn't you think it's the same as far as replaying something or putting something in there and you absorbing it? Like a lot of people like to be like, oh, I don't really, you know, do anything. I just listen. If you're listening, you're still absorbing something. Yeah. That's why most times I don't even watch these videos. I don't even know if I watch 10 seconds of the video. I just hear about it because it gets passed around so quickly. Yes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But I've stopped watching those videos years ago.
Yeah.
That's
I don't even know. It's and then we talk about planting seeds and the power of the mind. And then you watch all this stuff for them to plant seeds like in your mind, and then they grow, and that wasn't your thought. That was where your like nothing from you that came from outside of you was implanted in you, and now that it's growing and manifesting. Like they are using your power against you because you don't know what it is. Like so many people don't really. Everybody's like, oh, we're gods and we're this, but then you don't understand that what you think literally manifests. So you're allowing them to put stuff in your brain for you to manifest for them.
Yes.
Like
they literally don't know themselves. Yes. Literally don't know themselves.
Oh man. So there's still so much like other stuff, you know, related to, you know, the burning of Babylon. So I saw a lot of celebrities get dragged to the abyss and back. A lot of people got canceled like really canceled allegedly. There was a whole coon list of people.
Oh, I see the coon list.
So white people wanted too. I was kind of confused about that, but you know, that's not my ministry. So
they probably had invited them to the cookout. They took the invite back.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that is. You white coon. You're a possum. but but like I'm just really so what are your thoughts on, because I think what really boiled down to was that, just like they were saying stuff like, don't loot, whatever, or not all cops are bad, or this isn't the way, or whatever. And a lot of these, these are rappers, that talked about blowing your brains out, blowing your mom's brains out, shooting your grandma, like all kinds of crazy stuff. No exaggeration. And so for them to say that and then have no smoke for the people, when it calls for it, I mean, it's like what you wanted to do.
They all need to be canceled. Cancel all of them. All of them.
I mean,
yes,
real
cancel.
talk.
Cancel them. But if we know that any celebrity is nothing but a paid puppet, then it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to get emotional behind any of it. But yeah, so cancel them all. I hope they all come out and tap dance, and y'all people can recognize it and see it, and cancel them all, man, and stop paying them all attention.
Look, man, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the fact that celebrities feel like they have anything to say about presidential candidates, the fact that they have anything to say about these things, period. Again, it comes to that whole, I don't get how people don't connect the dots. Celebrities, Hollywood in general, to me, I just think is another big, political place. That's all it is. Everything there is paid acting. Okay, everything. Just because someone comes and speaks out doesn't mean that person cares about whatever. They are playing a role. Okay, what the hell do they have to do with politics? What the hell do they have to do with justice programs and all of that? Why do you think that they're saying more for one thing and more for another? And these liberals, especially, liberals are some of the biggest ones that are in all of this nonsense. But what have we been groomed to do? Oh, vote Democrat. Oh, vote real liberal. People of color. Blah blah blah. All these different buzzwords, and no one's sitting there thinking, well, why? Like, why?
There's no one's thinking. Everyone's just reacting from traumas and triggers. Like, it's just it. Like, no one. And then people have over-identified with these celebrities.
Oh, yes.
And rappers and all this stuff. Like, they feel like they grew up listening to their music, so somehow they're attached to them, or somehow they know these people, or somehow, you know what I mean? Like, there's just this over-identification, and it's like, you don't know this nigga. You don't know her. You don't know what. None of that.
And I think another thing, because I was on another panel talking about how men could be better, because we should be. And, they were I was talking about how music is hypnosis. You get the rhythm going and then you sessions over it. And this dude, cool dude, very intelligent brother, big country, but he was just saying like how it was a traumatic situation that happened, and then the music was right there for him, and he just. And I think that we're trauma bonding through the artists.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you get emotionally invested in that. Even like people that I just saw this shit today on I think it was on Twitter. Somebody was like, they wrote Umar Johnson, and they said, "Yeah, I've been married to this white woman or whatever. We got a family, and I finally seen the light. I'm ready to sacrifice."
Is that what?
And I'm thinking about the kids too, like. And I want to lay them at your feet. Is that cool? DM me.
Oh.
And I was like, yo. Now, it could have been a troll, but you never know nowadays.
Man.
So he responded. He was like, look, like, I'm not I'm glad that you saw the light. I don't need anybody sacrificing anything for me. I'm not a deity. I'm a humble servant of the Most High. And don't sacrifice that woman. Send it back to where she came from, and take care of your kids. But it's just wild that like people really
bond, like they really like. Because it's also that like that Jesus idea, that savior complex. Yes. Everyone's really looking for a savior outside of themselves. So whether they find it through music, through sports, through politics, through whatever, they're looking for that savior or that somebody who they can attach onto to help raise them, you know what I mean, or bring them to a certain end instead of actually looking inside.
Yeah,
and
they want somebody else to do the dirty work.
Yeah, and the thing about trauma bonds, first of all, people don't want to admit it, but the government is their God, straight up. They're looking for government to go out on everything, straight up. All right, but the thing about the thing about trauma bonds is they it's not just that they require a lack of accountability, but they require you to not ever look in yourself, because if you barely know it you don't, not just not knowing yourself, you don't have to know that person. You don't have to know somebody to bond with them traumatically at all. That's the whole point in the trauma bonds. All right. Like I think about in middle school and stuff, how I remember these girls were all together. I was waiting on my mom to come pick me up from, I think after school program, whatever. But it was these group of girls, and I was always the one that was like kind of by myself. So I was standing on the side. They're all talking, blah blah blah. One girl leaves. The three girls remain and talking about the girl that leaves. The other girl leaves. The two girls remain and start talking about the girl that leaves. The one girl's left. She's like, I can't stand them bitches. And I was sitting there like, yo, what? I'm sitting there like, yo, I don't need friends ever if this is what it's like. And that will always stick with me, because I'm like, how people legitimately just bond literally over nothing. Those girls don't know each other, and deep down they don't like each other because they don't like themselves. They just bonded with the first thing that came and said hello to them. That's it. That's it. Yes.
But getting back on topic, so what are your thoughts as far as the looting and the rioting and stuff like that? Do you feel that Black America is taking the reparations to their own hands, going out into the streets and taking what the devil stole from them?
No, because reparations is more about the reparations is more about repairing a nation. So just because you go steal some stuff and your house is laid out does not mean you've done nothing to actually uplift your community, your race, or anything. There hasn't been anything undone. Black people are still going to get arrested more, in prison more, be more likely to be in poverty. You're not taking back any reparations. You're not doing any of that. So don't delude yourself into trying to get on some high horse and think that you're doing something great for the people, because you're not. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking it. If that's what you want to do that. But don't try to make it more than what it is. You looting and you taking stuff. And you're gonna have to get that. You're gonna have to get that energy back in your personal life.
Oh yeah. No real change has been made. Nothing. Nothing has changed from you taking something. The store is still gonna exist. Them stores have insurance. What you mean? Them stores are good. They Gucci, man. They
probably good. They said
real.
was it? I read a thing that said is it George Soros? He just bought AutoZone and something else.
Yeah,
it was coincidental that AutoZone was the one that was getting broken in by the undercover cop, and he bought something else too. It was AutoZone and something else. Not to mention being one of the funders of Black Lives Matters, but whatever.
Yeah. I remember saying that in a college class, and I got crucified. But anyway, I'm also thinking because the thing is, it's just how my mind works again. They've been phasing out brick and mortar. So now that this happened, if you work retail, I don't know what to tell you, going forward. It may they may just do stuff online now. For
real. And I mean they've been
it's not worth the trouble to even have the store at that point. You're paying the rent. And then if you're gonna loot it, it's just I don't know. That's just
I mean, but that's the thing about, if we're talking about the overall theme of Babylon burning, meaning that the U.S. is really burning and coming to an end. That means all of the corporations, even the Black-owned ones, are going to close. If Babylon is really burning, all of this shit is burning, even the Black-owned part. And that's the part where people still really love the system because y'all want to keep all this black stuff and black this and we did this and we did that. No, if Babylon is burning, the shit you built based on Babylon has to go too.
Everything. Yes.
Everything has to go. And people don't want to see that. Like, people really don't want to see that because they're actually in love with this system. They're in love with this government, just not their place in it.
That's
so
it.
If they can take control of it, then they would want that. But they're not really upset about the injustice and the inequalities inherently in it. They're just upset because it inherently falls on them.
Yes, they're just upset because they're not in control of these systems. And it doesn't mean that if they get in control of these systems that things are going to be better. They'll probably end up doing the same thing, just in a different, just in a different suit. Just like people assumed that because we had a Black president in office that things were going to change. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing ever. Even my mommy said the same thing. She was like, what do they expect from what? He's still under, this this system. Yeah. And with Babylon, burning, a lot of this stuff at the last minute is a very, very desperate plea to hold on to what is, because we're in, currently in the age of Aquarius, and the zodiac clock, or the man-made clock, it's about to come to an end. After this, I believe, is Capricorn is the last one. Now, of course, that's supposed to be a couple thousand years from now, but if you're just following that flow, like this and it was something that someone said too. Let me try to remember. Can't remember their Instagram name. I'll probably text you guys. But they were talking about how this is like the tribulation period that the Bible is speaking of. Religious folks tend to take things very literal. So they're looking for these, the sky to literally open up and for angels with trumpets to literally start blowing stuff down. And the guy, I like how he broke it down. He was like, Donald Trump is in office and his name broken down is, Dawn of the Trumpets and whatnot. And he's the loudest president that we've ever had in office. He's just a loudmouth. Now, loudmouth because that's his personality and because he's got dirt on all these people who are doing the same shit that he's doing. Okay. So this is the, period. This is the rebuilding time. We are here. So there isn't anything to wait on. Folks are still, waiting on their God, government, little literal white Jesus out of the sky, whatever people want to be their God instead of looking in themselves. So they're not able to accept that we are here. And that also is based in fear because a lot of, Christians, what did they want? They wanted to ascend, just like the spiritual people speaking about ascension. And I've said this on Twitter, it's the same thing. Where are you ascending to? Where are you going? We're here. We're in the physical dense realm. Okay, so you ain't going nowhere, my friend. The sky's not opening up. You're not flying up to the sky. You ascension people, you're not going to a higher plane or whatever. It's the same thing repackaged differently and we word it differently. Same thing, different verbiage. All right, we here.
And it's like, and if we understand that like everything is a state of mind, your ascension is literally happening in here. It's happening inside of your body. It's not like you're literally
it's not this outward, yes.
Yeah, like you're it's in your mind. And it's like, so if you were really ascending out of this matrix, then you are looking at what's going on like, I am no longer caught in that spell. Like I am no longer I have ascended out of that madness into something else. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like into something else. But like that is what it's like. It's a literal state of mind. And then if we know that all of the spiritual realms are just less dense, but they all happen right on top of each other, where are you going? There is nowhere to go. Like there's nowhere to go. It's all right here, right now. Literally yesterday and tomorrow and now, and it's all here right now. Like all of the spiritual realms, they're all happening here right now in the same place where you are. There are more worlds. So it's just like people are so caught up in this outward. They're going somewhere or something, this change or something's coming, a ship is coming back to get them.
I was just about to say the mothership.
Yes. And I'm like, yo, like, and it's just like when people keep saying there's like levels to this shit, like there's all of every conscious movement, every spiritual thing was in a way a trap to keep you trapped into that matrix. You know what I mean? So you got like these people who are stuck in this idea who think they're woke, but they're just stuck in another matrix. Like you're just stuck in a different matrix. And then you're just stuck in this matrix. And then you're stuck here. And it's just like, y'all like get unstuck and just know that everything is happening all at the same time.
Oh, yes.
And everything is really only a reflection of you on the inside and what you're going through. And that's your freedom. You know what I mean? Like, that's your awakening. That's your ascension. That's your, like, stop looking for something outside of you. It's like, I guess the bottom thing is like, there is nothing outside of you. Stop looking for something outside of you to change. Like, it's not going to.
No,
Period.
and then it was something else that was said too that kind of went along with your point on the whole planting seeds and manifesting, where, you know, if you want to bring up the spiritual realm, all right, you do have these lower levels and then you have these higher levels. These lower levels need us to become dense. Okay, they need us to manifest because we are the dense beings. So if you are sitting here feeding onto these lower level ideas that are keeping you stuck in these little cubes and these little boxes, all right, you are birthing out more of them. So that's all that you're going to bring. And I would even go as far to say, especially for women and even men, you can literally birth that into children. Like, you have these children who, and this is also mentioned in the Bible in Revelations, who are just rebelling against their parents for no apparent reason. You got these children who grew up in wonderful homes, wonderful lives, well taken care of, and for some reason want to be a victim of the world, coming out here acting like they never ate a meal a day in their life. They had 3-course meals, was driven to school in a Benz, like, was good. But for some reason have been allowing themselves to be fed this idea that they are, I don't know what it is, that they just have this terrible life and that they need all of these things to feel good about themselves. Same stuff that's mentioned in there. You know, we gotta, that's why it's so important to be careful with your feeding, because you're going to bring it out. You're going to manifest it, like we've all said today. And they need us to manifest those things. We are the ones here.
Yes, we're the vessels. We're the host. You even said it. It goes back to the Bablyon as well. It's like, I'm nothing but a vessel. This flesh is just a vessel. So, I hear people saying that, you know, I hear like all kinds of stuff. That this is the test run before the real thing, because apparently a lot of people that are allegedly with the shits are not, you know, participating in these riots or whatever. Apparently this is a what's the word can I use? Because, you know, if I say
drill. Yes, I was about to say drill. That's what they've been calling it. Yeah,
but I'm saying if I say the kind of person this is, his shit might get shut down, allegedly.
Oh,
yeah. You know, people that so you see this mask, right? Let's say if I put this face mask and I put it on top of my head or whatever, it's one of those kind of one of those kind of movements, one of those kind of productions where basically, you know, again, they're paying people. I saw people saying like, here, I'll give you a brick to go do this. They had like bricks
just laying out,
lying on the corner right before a protest. And I saw this lady, this black chick, this black queen, excuse me. She came up to this car and was cursing this car full of white boys out, saying like, "You just giving these guys bricks, whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, who do you think he is, Ronald Reagan?" Like, it's just crazy, like how
it's.
But it's just crazy how this is all a production.
All the world's a stage.
Yeah. And it could even be like the craziest thing ever. Like, what if COVID was really real and this is just a way to just infect a bunch of people at the same time? Maybe, I don't know. But it could be.
I mean, it's just, I think that's the point, is that there's just so many possibilities and so much going on that, like, even if you sit and contemplate it, you are falling into the trap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I don't know. They gonna do what they gonna do. And we know that they're going to become, more and more and more restrictive. Well, we on 8:00 curfew round. They put, not me. I'm not on curfew. But there's an 8:00 curfew in Indianapolis, like, I think all week. You know what I mean? Like, and it says like nobody's allowed on public streets unless you're an essential worker going, which was funny because I thought that was going to happen during COVID, but it never happened. And so
they tried. They
now
tried.
that they did that now, and I was like, oh, so the COVID was to prep you to like make you okay with it, and then they actually implemented it during the riots, and give them whatever reason, a better reason to do it. But it's just like, it's literally a movie being played out to keep a certain group of people invested, and like the more you even try to figure it out or like anything, you just like get lost in it because it's just so. It's like, what's that movie? What is that? Like, what was that show where they crashed on the island and then nobody could follow the daggone plot? Lost? No. Dang, what was that? I can't think of that movie. Yes, it was Lost.
Okay,
where,
I was
like,
about to
at
say.
the end, nobody could follow the plot and nobody knew what was going on and who was like where and da-da-da-da, and then it just ended. Like, I feel like that's the plot that's going on right now in like mainstream. Like, there's just so many storylines and so many people and so many puppeteers and so much going on that like, you can't follow this. You just like, I don't even know what's okay. So they're giving out bricks. George Floyd died. Nah, he was a porn star. They worked together. Oh, what about he was just a runner. Oh, wait, now we got Trump over here doing it. Oh, wait, it is just so many storylines and so much stuff. Oh, don't forget about COVID. And it's just like,
listen, but you were
just like,
I mean, you're so right. Like, that's one thing I had to tell myself and learn because I like information. Me and a homegirl were just talking about how you literally have to release and you can't give every little thing your attention because you yourself are going to be bogged down. I like to use the word aware personally, but you just have to be aware that all of this is one big play. All the world's a stage, okay? But you don't need to know every small amount of everything. All you need to really know is don't fear. If you fear, then you are setting yourself up to be a victim to whatever or be subjected to whatever is coming out. All right. Because yes, there are a million things and they probably have a million more in their back pocket. Like with the curfew thing down in here in Georgia, they just enacted a curfew to 9 o'clock in some places, 8:30 in some places. And they tried to do that when COVID first came out. These country folks down here don't listen. Okay. So that didn't, girl, it dead ass didn't work. Like the kids in my neighborhood are just out playing, blah, 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 this and that. It didn't work. So now they came out with their next backpack plan, which is the riots. All right, put these out. Now they really can enforce the curfew because they can say, oh, people's physical lives are in danger. So they gonna do what they gonna do. All right, they have many ways to get what they want done. So it is impossible, and you will drive yourself mad trying to figure out each little idiosyncrasy. You just need to make sure that whatever's going on, you're not afraid, you're not feeding into it, because you got to take care of you.
Yeah, being scared never accomplishes anything.
No,
I mean they are definitely tiptoeing, I guess, towards the law of the martial or whatever, and who's to say that, I mean, I used to do a little bit of vandalism back in my day, well past statute limitation. It is a bit of a rush, but at the same time, anything that just, that gives you a rush, you're going to constantly want to, like, it's just like porn, like, it's just
elevate higher,
become bigger. So who's to say that
adrenaline
after they don't start going to the residential stuff, and that's when stuff gets really interesting. So, I mean, don't be scared. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Man, basically, just turn off the TV. Just turn it off. Turn it off. Limit your social media. Focus on what you actually want to see manifest in your life. Just focus on that. Because all this other stuff is going to keep happening. They started Black Lives Matters and what's still happening. They rioted in Ferguson then. It's still happening. Like, just what do you want to see in your life? What are you working on for you? Because that's all you can control is everything going on inside of you, in your brain, the seeds you allow to be planted and what you manifest. Everything else is a distraction. Literally everything. And I had issue with that because like I am completely emotionally just disconnected from this whole George Floyd thing. I'm not even gonna lie. And that might sound horrible, but I am. And I had an issue because it's like, man, I feel like with me not being any kind of invested in it, that like I'm not trauma bonding. I'm not able to like bond
That's
with,
what it
have
is.
that community sense. And, you know, a lot of people, almost everybody else is invested in this. And I'm like, no, I'm not invested. And I can feel those walls being put up in like that. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's people
like,
literally tweeting things like, you know, watch your friends and see what they have and haven't. Girl, I got real things going on in life. I don't have time to write think pieces on Twitter. And they're literally saying, you know, watch what your friends haven't spoke up on. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? So if you're not saying anything on Twitter, they're for real cutting you off, unfriending you. I
have no real friends.
I mean,
I'm like, listen,
so
I took a couple days off. I didn't even want to talk about it, hear about it, see it. Nothing. Listen, I don't care.
all right.
I just don't.
So final points. What if you had to say anything, like if you could give somebody a takeaway about the burning of Babylon, what would you say? It's the best piece of advice.
It's going to continue to burn. This is not something that's going to turn around. This is literally the end of this current system. So it's going to, like, there's going to be more events and more flags and more false this and just more craziness. So don't, like, you're not going to catch your breath if you stay tuned in. It's never going to stop. Like, this is going to continue until the very end. And again, it's all going to end. So if you're not prepping yourself to really be independent eventually, or your family independent from this system, and preparing to be self-sufficient and building community, you're preparing to fail. And this is a spiritual war, so stop letting them plant seeds in your brain. Focus on what you want to see. Like, that's it.
Yeah. And like you said, I was going to say that too, as far as, I mean, it's going to happen. You can't stop it individually. So if you want to spend all of your time and energy going down with it, I mean, to each their own. But my overarching message, is the one that I tell myself all the time. Don't fear. Like I said earlier, just don't. It's just going to bring you down. It's going to keep you down. And it's honestly a waste of energy. Like, it brings anxiety, all these other things. It's just a waste of energy and time, all right? And if you feel like you can't do that, I mean, you just gonna go down. Like, I hate to be so blunt. Actually, I don't hate to be blunt anymore. Let me take that back. I don't hate to be blunt anymore.
We just don't be really wanting to hurt nobody's feelings. Like, it's not our intentions to hurt people's feelings, but we know it's gonna happen, so we try to like sidestep it.
Kind of
like,
sidestep it, but
you can't. It is what it is. Whatever.
It is what it is. And,
you mad?
I can't do nothing about that, because you gonna be mad either way. Like, you gonna want to be mad either way. So if it ain't at me, you just want to be mad. So but yeah, just don't waste your time fearing, man. Just worry about you. Worry about you internally. You know, make sure you eating right. Make sure you taking showers. Make sure you know, make sure you're clean from the inside out. That's really it.
Yeah, I guess my piece of advice is definitely realize that this is a production. Don't get too wrapped up in it. This big ass nigga novela. You know what I'm saying?
Nigga novela.
Make sure that, you know, your peace of mind is where it needs to be. The people around you are, you know, have peace of mind as well. You know, that whole trauma bonding thing, we're not doing that. Like, we're trying to elevate, we're trying to ascend on all levels. So let's do that. Let's try to get off the white teat, you know what I'm saying, and like be on our own. Start to, you know, if you haven't already, you know, start putting things in motion to be independent. Try to build something, and make sure that what you build, that you're willing to protect, whatever that means. So that's my 2 cents. So ladies, if they want to find you, where can they find you at?
AjayaDivine.com, and I am Ajaya Divine on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And check out my podcast, Infinite Beings Unite. Yeah.
All right. First of all, I need you to make nigga novela a hashtag when you post this.
That was great.
I really do. That was wonderful. But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hope You Smile. Podcast is coming soon, actually. I will definitely let you guys know when that is in the works. But
Like I always say every episode, you can find me where you found me at. I'm on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. The Famous Doing This podcast. Make sure that you like, subscribe, slander, whatever, cancel me, whatever. It is what it is.
Do it.
All right, we out.
Peace.